We've got two past directors of Workways, Angela Hudson and Thelma Hutchinson. So welcome to the two ex-board members. And I'd also like to welcome Alex Edwards, who is representing our auditors, RSM. So thank you very much. Welcome. And we'll move on to the meeting. But one of the things we've done to start with is turn the agenda just slightly upside down. And we've decided to bring forward our special presentation guest speaker to this section of the meeting. So it's with great pleasure that I'm welcoming Brant North to give us a special presentation titled Choices and Consequences, Taking Ownership of Workplace Health and Safety. Now, for many of those of you who are online, you'll know that Brant is a fellow colleague and he's a workforce administrator with Workways. Brant has quite a story to tell, and he regularly speaks at corporate settings on WHS, which is a topic on which he has got a lived experience. So I'd very much like Brant to give his address and sit back, listen and enjoy. Thanks very much, Brant.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Or
Yes, we can, Brant.
Everyone hear me okay? Can you see the PowerPoint that I've put up? Is that being shared across or?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
The black screen at the moment, Brad.
It did come up for a brief moment.
Okay, I'll give it another go.
Brant, if you could just introduce yourself while we're doing that.
Yeah, sorry. So I've been with Workways for about 3 years now. I came into an admin role sort of full time when we first started contract a few years ago. Thanks, Ash. Can everyone see that? The screen now that I've put up, the PowerPoints and that? Too easy. Thank you. Thanks to my site manager, Ash here. She sort of helped me with all the IT. I'm a bit hopeless in that regard. So, but yeah, I started with you guys, Workways probably about 3 years ago. So, and I came into the admin role. I did admin roles for a while before that. So, but I came from a mining background, coming from Central Queensland. So, I just want to talk a little bit about that today. I won't go too far into it because a lot of people probably would have seen it or won't know what I'm talking about as far as like underground mines and things like that. So it's, but I'll start with, like, I sort of grew up in Central Queensland, so I grew up out there, and that's pretty big. Sorry. Yeah. So that's pretty big up in Central Queensland with the mining and stuff like that. Like growing up, we sort of weren't even worried about finishing school. So you knew you were going to get a job in the mine. So I sort of tried for ages, like a few years, to get me job in the mine, and then I got me chance, I got me break. So growing up there, I did all my schooling up that way as well. Loved all my sport. Played a lot of sport as a young guy, but I really loved my rugby league. So I think I played right up until the year before my accident. So after school, we were doing all the usual things. We were running around, partying and running amok. So after school, yeah, and that's when I got my job in the mine. And I found out my partner, and a few years later, my partner I found out that she was pregnant, so that's when I was just starting to try and get the job in the mine. I'd got a contract. So the contract for the traineeship, for the mine traineeship, was 2 years. So we were spending 12 months in the open cut, and then we were going 12 months underground. Going underground, I was pretty excited. I'd never been in an underground mine before, but I had a lot of experienced guys, and they sort of showed you what you were going to be doing, and they sort of kept you out of harm's way. At the time where I was of the accident, yeah, this is where I was. So this sort of gives you a little bit of a picture. My job at the time was to just chuck all this gear up here. This is a conveyor, so it runs about 200 meters long. I was at one end of the conveyor, and then our crew was at the other end of this conveyor. So I was at this end, sort of getting up where all this gear is up here. Getting down, I had 1 foot where you can see the guard is there, and then 1 foot where that gap is, where the top of the conveyor runs up into the drive motor itself. So when I was getting down, the crew at the other end, no communication. A few other hazards along the way, like no isolation, no communication, and things like that. So at the time when I was getting down, my crew at the other end of this conveyor, they had no idea what I was doing, and I was the same. I had no what they were doing at the time that I was getting off the conveyor. So they've started this up. My foot, you can see the flight bars on the conveyor there itself. My foot's got caught under a flight bar on this conveyor. It sort of dragged us probably down the face, or the conveyor's dragged us about 10 meters up that way. There's a bit of machinery you can see in the background at the end of that conveyor. So I nearly got dragged under that at the same time. I had a bloke with me at the time, and he was pretty good. He sort of got on to the rest of the crew. They organised the rescue. I had a town doctor come in first. He soon realised that he wasn't experienced enough, and then he sort of outsourced it and called in a flying doctor. And I think I was probably there about 4 hours when the flying doctors turned up, and then he made the decision to do an operation and cut us out of there. After I was taken to hospital, I was probably there for about 2 weeks in Rocky Base Hospital, and then from complications and a bit of delayed trauma, I've had kidney failure and a few other little complications. So they've flown me to Brisbane, and that's how I ended up in Brisbane. I was probably in hospital all up for about 6 months, sort of in and out of operations and things like that. I was in the PA hospital here, and they were really good, like the recovery wise. I think I spent 3 months in renal, and then 3 or 4 months in rehab, and then back out of hospital and back into normal life. I'm pretty lucky. I haven't had any other complications in the accident. So, but one of the main things I was sort of keen to get back in. Oh, that's me dad. They did a few settings in that. But one of the things I did want to get back into was all my sport and that. So I sort of sought out what sport was available. It was probably the first thing I went looking for. Help with my recovery on the same note. So I found sitting volleyball. I'd never played volleyball in my life, but it was one of those sports, and they were looking for people at the time for Paralympics in 2000. So I was sort of in the right place at the right time, and met probably a couple of guys in the Australian squad who were training already. So I started training with them, and then went to a few tournaments in '99. Following into 2000, we went to a few tournaments as well. And then July 2000, I think we were all named in the 2000 Paralympic squad. So, like I said, sort of in the right place at the right time. Unbelievable experience, the Paralympics. I played a lot of sport in my life, but I'd never seen anything like that. Just the fans and supporters, the volunteers. I think they had something like 4 or 5 million through the gates in 10 days of competition. So every venue that I went to, even our venue, like it was probably 5,000 capacity, but it was packed out sort of every single game we played. So we'd never played a major competition before that. but we end up winning, I think, about 3 or 4 of our games. So, and having only like a year and a half preparation instead of that 4-year preparation sort of cut down our time together, like as a team. Like we didn't spend a lot of time together anyway, just because we had guys in different states. So all of our guys worked as well at the same time. So we sort of just got together as often as we could just to get to the Paralympics. And but I think the Paralympics in 2000, that's one of the most, is the most successful Paralympics Australia's ever competed at. So I think they won 149 medals for the games. Yeah, 149 medals. So that's the most successful we've ever been at a Paralympics. So, like, after my work too, like there were a lot of talk about what was going to be done, and there were recommendations that came out, and there were a lot of things too. I sort of put my hand up too. I'm not entirely clear. There were some things during the time that I could have done to prevent the accident as well. Like I could have made the call that it was unsafe. I know I could have requested risk assessments to be done. I could have asked my supervisor about the risks as well, but I sort of just went along. Being that trainee, I was just in that mindset of getting in, getting the job done, and then getting on to the next job as quickly as possible. So, but I've sort of never blamed anyone for what happened as well. I'm just so grateful to still be here and to get that second chance. So, my family, like now I'm married. I only had my little boy before. I'm now married. I have 8 children now. I've got 5 boys and 3 girls. So been a little bit busy since then. That sort of takes up a little bit of time, and all of their kids are into, like, I play a bit of wheelchair basketball and stuff now, and all of their kids play a bit of wheelchair basketball and stuff as well at the time now. So that sort of takes up most of their time. We it's trainings to games so you're just a referee and a taxi most of the time. So most parents can account for that. Just some of the things that probably transgress, like from mining into our industries. Some of the things where, like, sort of say that personal ownership is one of the things that came into it. Like, we need to take account for our own safety, like not relying on other people. I think that's a given. Like, we all sort of look towards that one person, the safety officer or whatever, but I think it's an individual thing. We need to look at that ourselves as well as the people around us, and do that as a team. I know most of our sites and our teams work very well together, but I think being as safety, it's a day-to-day thing. Like, being as personal ownership too, there were some things, like I said, that I could have done. I think we can do that in everyday sort of work, even in our office environment. Like, if we see trip hazards or electrical hazards, like, even if we can't do anything about it, if we can try and report the incident, or if we can let someone know so something can be done about it. I know I've seen people that have seen things and they've done nothing about it, or they haven't reported it, and then an accident's happened, so that they're left with that guilt sort of in the end. So another one that sort of comes across is the behavioural safety as well. So that's sort of creating that culture and the behaviours, and to be safe and reduce accidents and human errors. I think creative behaviours, they sort of create that culture, and if we can all sort of be on the same page, which I've found Workways is very good in that respect. Another one, I think the other one I wanted to slightly touch on was the psychological safety. So that's sort of having that, creating that environment for people to speak up. And I think everywhere I've been with Workways, it across the board, the leaders that we have, we sort of create that safe space for people to speak up and ask questions. And if mistakes are made, it's it's not frowned upon. It's sort of it's a teaching thing. It's sort of helping each other to learn from the mistakes. And I think we have pretty good leaders across the board, from HR right through to our site managers, to our regional managers, to everyone sort of who create that great space for people to be confident, to make the decisions, to make mistakes, to ask questions. So I've sort of found that since I came to Workways, it's never been too much for a site manager or to stop and to show you something or to support you in that way, just so you feel confident in what you're doing. So, but yeah, so that's probably the main gist of my presentation. Is there anything or any questions that anybody had or anybody wanted to talk about? Or
Brad, I think you'll be online for a while yet.
I will, mate.
If
Yeah.
anyone's, yeah, because everyone's on mute at the moment, it's a bit difficult for them to ask questions, obviously. But
Yep.
if there's anyone who's got questions, please log them, and
Yep.
we might come back to you a bit later if that's all right.
Too easy, Russell. Thank you.
All right. Look, Brant, thanks so much. That's
all right.
really insightful. WHS is such an important topic at the moment that we all
Yep.
need to be across. So thanks very much. It's a pleasure having someone like yourself in the team at Workways.
That's all right. Thank you.
When Carly and I were talking about this presentation, Carly was certainly very upbeat about the sort of person you are, and that's come across in your presentation. So thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. We do have a video too. We can upload that later on if people want to talk about it. There was something that we put together for one of the conventions a few years ago. So we'll put that up and people can look at it in their own time, sort of thing as well. So
Terrific. All right.
too easy, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Russell.
A lot.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. Well done, Brad. That's terrific. We'll keep moving then with our meeting, and we get now down to the resolutions that need to be passed for the AGM. As I noted earlier, there's been circular resolutions gone out to all of the members for approval of the resolutions 1 through to 6. They were distributed to the board last week, and approvals have been received from all directors by email prior to this meeting. So the first resolution that we've got is actually the approval of the minutes from last year's AGM of the 20th of November 2024. They have been circulated, moved by myself and seconded by Ross Morgan, and the adoption of those minutes has been approved. So thanks very much. I'll keep moving through these. We also have the confirmation of minutes for 2 short special general meetings, which we held on the 23rd of October, which both dealt with some very minor changes to our constitution. Simply put, the second meeting approved an amendment to our constitution to reduce the minimum number of members and board members, directors and members in our constitution, reducing it from 6 down to 4. We had 2 meetings in relation to that because we changed our mind after the first meeting on the number. So by circular resolution, the special general meeting number 1 was moved by Marlene Elliott, seconded by Peter Langkamp, and that was approved. The second special general meeting, which did formally change the constitution to a minimum number of 4 instead of 6, was moved by myself and seconded by John Webstale, and that was also approved. So thanks very much for that, for those who have helped with those resolutions. The next part of the AGM is my chairperson's report. The full text of this report is included in our published annual report for 2025. But I just thought that I'd make a couple of key points. Firstly, really pleased to present it to our members, to staff, clients, key stakeholders, my report for 2025. This year we have achieved improved financial results, but still not quite succeeding in getting what we were hoping to get to. In part, this mirrors the difficulty that providers in the employment services sector have in maintaining sustainable results. We continue to work hard in the sector, delivering on our core mission. Performance results as measured by the government department responsible has shown improvements throughout the year, and it's very pleasing to see that our contracts have been extended after their assessments. We've also done a lot of work in our environmental arm, Envite, where we got the help of Consultants Home Collective, who undertook a full review of the operations of Envite. We invested a lot of time and money into improving our systems, costings, and building relationships with stakeholders to continue building our profile in the environmental sector. We're looking forward to seeing rewards of all of this work in the next 12 months. We are continuing to look for opportunities to build our business that will help build economies of scale, leading to a more sustainable future. Building scale of contracts, particularly in the employment services sector, is becoming paramount to future success. That's why it's also very pleasing to see us re-enter the disability sector through our successful tender for the new Inclusive Employment Australia contract. So during the 2025 year, we were embarking on opportunities to increase revenue streams, but these were pretty limited, mainly through the delays in announcing tender results from the IEA contracts, which proved to be a little bit frustrating. Even though we had another deficit result for the year, we continued to lay the foundations for improvement. As I've said before, the improved performance of our two major employment services contracts has led to very positive results in the first few months of the 2026 financial year. At our strategic planning session held at the end of April, the board, EMT and senior leadership reviewed our previous 12 months achievements and carefully considered our approach for the next 12 months. We also included our strategic plan up to 2027. We continue to look at diversification of revenue streams as we see this as paramount of driving sustainable growth. As such, we have commenced exploring strategic opportunities to help achieve this objective. In addition to this, we have reviewed and updated targets for cash flow, working capital management, and financial ratios. We've put into place a rigorous budget review process to keep us on track for improved results, while we make sure that we continue to deliver value to our customers. I'd like to particularly thank our two subcommittees and the members of our subcommittees, the Audit and Risk and Governance, for the integral role that they've played in board oversight and the work that they've done to manage not only our financial and risk, but also our board performance, board KPIs, and ongoing review of policies. I'd like to particularly thank the chairs of our two subcommittees, Ross and John. I'd like to thank Philip Suter, who is an independent member of our Audit Risk Committee, who brings a wealth of opportunity to strengthen our cyber security management, which is so important these days. So my thanks to all of the members of those committees for their ongoing commitment to making sure that we meet our terms of reference. As I said before, in the year ahead, we've started the new year well with very positive results and above budget performance results for the first quarter. It's very, very encouraging. The announcement of our successful tender for IAA in the Cairns region has been very positive for our business, and we see this re-entry into the disability sector and a very important part of the development of revenue streams. We look forward to the next 12 months with stability of contracts, new contracts, and potential growth opportunities that our board continues to explore. We've had some board changes. So at today's AGM, two of our longest serving board members, John Webstall and Marlene Elliott, retire due to the expiration of their terms. Both have been valuable members of our board over the last 6 years and have served on the governance committee, held chair positions, deputy chair positions, and so on. I'll say a little bit more about that later on. Early in October, one of our other board members, Melanie Woodward, advised me that she was leaving to pursue other interests and therefore resigned after serving on our board for nearly 3 years. Mel was also an integral part of the governance committee. All three have made significant contributions to our board and have helped us through the governance committee develop more robust governance of our organisation. As I said, I'll say a little bit more later about that. This year we have also welcomed Dr. Peter Langkamp to the Workways board. Peter started at our AGM last November, and Peter has held senior executive roles in business and consulting for over 30 years, and he's a very experienced director with experience in the mental health, disability and aged care sectors. Finally, and it goes without saying that we've had great leadership throughout the year. I particularly want to thank our acting CEO, Carly, and the EMT, along with their senior leadership team, who have helped us navigate another year which has been, at times has been fairly challenging. Together they've made a lot of progress, and we look forward to a new year with optimism and new opportunities. And finally, we would be very much lost without our hardworking staff, from those who lead to those who present at the front line and help build the opportunities for our customers and clients. The board thanks you all for another outstanding effort, for your commitment that has been exemplary as we strive to fulfil our mission and core values. I thank you very much. That's all, and if you want full content or full text, please go to our full report. So having said all of that, I'd like, we have passed a resolution to receive and approve the chairperson's report on behalf of the board for the financial year ended 30th of June 2025. That was moved by John Webstall and seconded by Jenny Semple and was approved. So thank you very much for that. I'd now invite our acting CEO, Carly, to present her report for the 2025 year. Thanks very much, Carly.
And thank you everyone for joining us. Just wanted to start by seconding Russell's thanks to Brant. Brant is a wonderful member of our team, incredibly reliable and adaptable, and it was very brave of him to share his story. So we do appreciate that. Thank you, Brant. Also wish to thank Mel, who has been with us, but Mel Holloway, who did our acknowledgement of country. Mel's been with the organisation for about 3 years, but recently took on the First Nations mentor role. She's been a very welcoming and safe space for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander participants, and she's doing a lot to encourage them on their employment journey. So thank you, Mel. Mel's role is part of our commitment in our Reconciliation Action Plan, and I'm very pleased to note that our Reconciliation Action Plan was moved to an Innovate Plan this year and approved by Reconciliation Australia. So look, it was, as Russell said, our previous financial year was tough. And whilst we did have a deficit result this year, we certainly saw improvements in our financial and program performance. And that was driven by strict expenditure management, performance improvements in employment services, and a comprehensive review and some changes across our Invite business. As Russell had mentioned, we engaged the Home Collective to conduct that review of Invite. So this uncovered a number of changes to improve our systems and policies, lift our staff engagement, and ultimately future-proof the business for sustained growth and viability. So these changes will take place, or have been taking place, and will take around 18 months, we predict, to return Invite to profitability. We hope that to be sooner. But I know that the team are working really hard on pursuing new opportunities and diversified revenue streams, ensuring that we continue to deliver on our purpose. So on that note, I do wish to thank the Invite team. Change is hard. It's never easy. And I know that the team have been embracing of that change, and it's clear that they are committed to building the future of our business. So big thank you to the whole Invite team. We will, as Russell said, we'll continue to look for opportunities to further strengthen Workways, as growth and diversification is a key pillar of our strategic plan. The contract reviews of our Workforce Australia contracts took place this financial year as well, and we're very, very pleased to note that we had extensions to our contract. We received what was the largest extension that any provider could receive, which was until June 2027. Reading between the lines with the department, we hope that will go to 2028. But really pleasing to see that extension, and that is a reflection of the hard work of our frontline and our operations teams. And that is also a reflection of our results in our performance framework. So we have consistently achieved moderate ratings across our performance ratings in Brisbane, South East and Gippsland. And I know we're pretty close to high in some of those areas as well. Really pleased to note that we achieved accreditation again for our ISO 9001, ISO 27001 and our Right Fit for Risk. These are all accreditations that we're required to hold under our federal government contracts. And there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to achieve these results. So a huge thank you to our quality team, quality and risk team, our frontline staff, our ICT team. A lot of work, but ultimately a really good result and a really positive result for our organisation that reflects the policies and procedures we have in place. It reflects the culture, and it reflects the fact that we are doing what we say we will do, and we do it at a high quality. So that, as Russell alluded to, there have been some difficult times throughout the year. We were very, disappointed to have to shut our Townsville office, our Invite Townsville office. Whilst we did have a very experienced manager at the helm, Tasha, the development opportunities in that region just weren't moving quickly enough, and they were lower than expected. So there are still wonderful things that we achieved up there, and that is definitely testament to the work that Tasha put in. So that's notably our work skills program for new trainees and in conservation and ecosystem management, which is funded by the Queensland Government, and the wonderful work we're doing restoring critical turtle habitat and nesting grounds on Magnetic Island. IEA, we received finally the announcements that we were successful in achieving the Cairns ESA, and I know our staff are very, very pleased with that, and we welcomed our new team on the 1st of November up in the Cairns and Innisfail regions. whilst we were very successful with that, we unfortunately were not successful in our tender with Palladium, but we were very pleased to learn and collaborate with such a respected and impactful organisation. And we do hope that there's other opportunities to partner with them in the future. On the subject of partnerships, we continue to have a strong partnership with the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, and we've continued to contribute through the Youth Transitions Executive Team, of which we're a member. We continue to deliver our pilot program with Brotherhood of St Lawrence, Inclusive Pathways to Employment. That's been a great opportunity to look at how we bring together disability employment services and youth services to ensure that we have a youth-specific disability program. And that is a policy point that the Brotherhood of St Lawrence are using that pilot to make. So that did come to a close at the end of this financial year, but we really enjoyed being a part of that, and we've certainly taken some of the learnings from that into our transition to work program. So on a personal note, I'd like to thank our executive team. So Tracy, who is our Chief People and Quality Officer, and Michelle Warren, our Chief Financial Officer. So Michelle joined us towards the end of the financial year, and she brings vast skills and experience to the role, and we feel very fortunate to have her on the team. I also wish to thank Ellie Lyle, who was our previous CFO, and I know our staff are all very familiar with Ellie. She put in a huge amount of work to change our financial systems so that they were better suited to our needs, and certainly assisted the Invite team in working through some of those financial changes that we went through this year. So big thank you to Ellie, but certainly a welcome to Michelle. And thank you to our Board of Management for their support and for leading with purpose and clarity through a year that was bringing both barriers and opportunities. I thank you for your leadership and your mentoring of myself and our executive team. And certainly wish to thank John Websdale and Marlene and wish them well in the future. They've been wonderful contributors to our board and certainly very passionate about Workways and the work that we do. Also wish to thank, I feel like I'm doing an Oscars speech here. Wish to thank Anne Cox. So Anne joined us last year. She's just had her 12-month anniversary. She joined us for what was going to be a 3-month contract as our executive assistant. She came out of her retirement. So thank you, Anne. It has been a little bit more than 3 months, but we also wish you well for the future. Finally, and certainly most importantly, I wish to thank our frontline teams. I hope at some stage, particularly over the Christmas break, you do get to reflect on the work you do and the impact you have in our communities. I feel very, very privileged to work alongside you, and without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So thank you. Thanks, Russell.
Thanks very much, Carly, for that. Very insightful. It's been a very, very busy year, and steep learning curve for yourself in your first position as CEO. Congratulations on the work that you've done. Well done. So we have a resolution to accept the acting CEO's report for the financial year ending 30th of June 2025. Again, that's by circular resolution, moved by myself and seconded by Marlene Elliott, and was approved. So thanks very much, Carly, again. We'll move on to the audited financial report, and I invite Michelle Warren, our CFO, to say a few words about that if she wouldn't mind. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Russell, and I apologise in advance. Hope everyone can hear me. So good afternoon and thanks for joining us today. So as Russell mentioned, I'm very pleased to present the financial performance of Workways for the year ended 30 June 2025. The audited financial statements for the year have already been provided to the members and directors, and a summary of those results contained in the 2025 annual report, and the full financial report will be available on the Workways website. So during FY25, we continued delivering key programs, and as has been talked about from Carly and Russell, we also secured a major new contract for IEA commencing November 25 and funding through to 2030. So this positions us quite strongly for future growth. In terms of numbers, revenue for 2025 was 19.3 million. So it's down slightly from 20 million recorded in 2024, primarily due to the timing of program activities. And there was also for employment services a pausing of mutual obligations earlier in the year, which did have some impact. In terms of expenses are reduced to 19.9 million from 23.9 million in the prior year, which is a reflection of cost control measures which were undertaken and operational efficiencies that were introduced during the year. So as a result, we recorded a net loss of $585,490 to be exact, which is an improvement from the $3.9 million loss that was recorded in financial year 24. After a small revaluation decrement on our Bairnsdale property, our total comprehensive loss for the year was $616,491. In terms of the balance sheet remains stable. So our net assets stand at 3.3 million. We have cash reserves at 30 June of 2.7 million, which is obviously providing liquidity for our future operations. And our current assets exceeded our current liabilities. So we have the capacity also to implement further cost-saving measures if we are required. In terms of cash flow, so our operating cash flow outflow, was $74,877, which is a significant improvement from last year's 1.4 million cash outflow, which again is a reflection of tighter working capital management. So despite the FY25 result, we still remain quite confident in our future. So key factors that support that is obviously we still have our long-term government contracts, which we retain through to 2028 and now 2030 with the IEA program. We're aiming for forecast revenue of 4% in employment services, and we have got a target of 10% in the environmental program. The key focus in environmental services is on future business development and the embedment of recently introduced tools to help improve the margins and profitability. In terms of governance, our governance framework remains robust with active oversight by the Audit and Risk Committee and the Governance Committee. The external audit was conducted by RSM Australia and it resulted in an unqualified audit opinion, confirming compliance and a true and fair view of the financial statements for FY25. So in summary, FY25 is a year of stabilisation. Whilst we would have liked a profit, it is an improvement on FY24 and sets us up for the future. So we've significantly, as I mentioned, reduced the losses. We've secured our financial base and also looking at alternative revenue streams. So I also want to reiterate what Russell and Carly have also said and thank not only the board, but my fellow EMT and all the staff for their commitment. And I look forward to working with you all together as we enter this new financial, well, we're halfway through the financial year, but as we continue on in this financial year. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Quite a comprehensive report. So we do have a resolution in relation to the audited financial reports. The resolution is to accept the audited financial report for the financial year ending June 30th, 2025, together with the director's report and the independent audit report. That was moved by Ross Morgan and seconded by Peter Langkamp and has been approved. So thanks very much, Michelle. Moving on to the appointment of auditor and the approval of the auditor's fee for 2026. We do have a resolution to approve the appointment of the external auditors RSM at a quoted fee of $75,000 excluding GST for the financial year 2026. This has been notified as well to the members, and that resolution has been moved by Ross Morgan and seconded by Jenny Semple and approved by all members. So thank you very much. I'll move on now to and I have referred to this, but I'd like to announce and thank our retiring directors, John Websdale and Marlene Elliott. As I said earlier, John and Marlene have been board members for 6 years, and they've provided incredibly valuable contribution to our board and to Workways. Both have been strong contributors to the Workways Governance Committee, having both served as chair of the committee, and Marlene also serving as deputy chair. Throughout the last 6 years, they've provided a very clear oversight to our governance policies, procedures, and they both leave us having helped Workways navigate many challenges throughout their tenure. They've been an integral part of building the strong reputation that Workways continues to have in each of the sectors that we work in. They're both leaving us to pursue other interests, and we thank them very much for their contribution and wish them all the best into the future with whatever they might be doing. So thank you very much. We'll be thanking them a little bit further in some different environment in the next week or two. I'd also like to announce, and I mentioned it before, and acknowledge Melanie Woodward. As I said earlier, in October, Melanie resigned her position as a board director and member to pursue other work and directorship positions. Mel was a director with us for just short of 3 years, and during that time she served and did a lot of work with the Governance Committee. At the same time, Mel, with her background in accounting and CFO roles, was a very important member of a budgetary subcommittee which worked closely with our EMT on budget and cash flow projections to help build improved financial outcomes. So I'd really like to thank Mel for her contribution over the nearly 3 years and wish her well in the new ventures that she's moving into. All three of those will be very sorely missed by the board. They've been very important members. They've brought a great amount of passion and commitment to the board and particularly to Workways. So thank you very much to the three of you. Moving right along, I'd like to announce the reappointment of Ross Morgan. So Ross has been a board member for the last 3 years, and just recently we have approved the reappointment of Ross for a further 3 years until November 2028. Ross has been a very important part of our board over the last 3 years. In the last year or two, he has served as chair of the Audit Risk Committee. And Ross, we really look forward to continuing working with you over the next 3 years. So congratulations on your appointment, and we will see you soon, no doubt. So look, that's really the formal part of our meeting is finished. Before I do finish, just whilst talking about directors' positions, when we finish today's meeting, as we stand, we will have a board of 4 members, which is a reduction of 3 since last year. Those board members will be myself, Jenny Semple, Ross Morgan, who I just mentioned, and Peter Langkamp. what's important to know is that we're currently recruiting for a 5th member. And we've identified both through the Home Collective review and in our own skills matrix work that we've done, that we believe we've got a shortage or a skills shortage in the environmental sector. So whilst we're looking for a 5th director, we're very much looking at someone with environmental sector experience. So I just mentioned that so that staff are aware, more particularly. Our board already knows this, but staff are aware of what we're embarking on and what we're trying to do. We have at the moment shortlisted the many applicants that have applied for this role, and we hope to make an appointment of a 5th director within a fairly short while. So we will let everyone know when that occurs. So having made those sort of final observations, firstly, I'd like to ask, are there any questions that have been logged? Nat, you might have something that we might need to deal with. If not, we'll move to close the meeting. So do we have any...
That's fine, we can help with you.
Hi, Russell. No, there's no questions that I can see in the chat there, so we're fine to conclude.
All right. Look, thanks very much then. So I guess it leaves me now then, and we are on time, which is good. It leaves me now then to formally close the meeting and thank everyone for your attendance. Very much appreciate. Our board members obviously coming. They need to anyway, they have to. But very much appreciate our staff members coming online and hearing a bit more about what goes on in the background. And thank you to our 3 guests that I'm aware of. I'm not sure of any others, but thank you very much. And at 4:54, I will close the meeting. Thank you.